afterdisclosure.com, which is our blog site, and that has all the information on what we're doing. You can go on afterdisclosure.com, very easy to get to. The entire introduction of our book is online. You can read it right now, as well as a number of articles.
Can they purchase it there as well, or is that the best?
Pardon?
What's the best place for them to get your books so they could purchase them and read?
Well, that site links to my main site, my publishing site, and I'll just tell people that that's keyholepublishing.com, just like looking through a keyhole, Keyhmle, publishing. That site is the site where really that's my home base. A lot of information about myself, about the books that I've written, the 2 volumes of UFOs and the National Security State, a lot of information on AD, a lot of articles I've written, which have been dozens of them, YouTube clips and all of that. I've also published the book of a friend of mine who a lot of listeners I'm sure are familiar with, and that's Dr. Richard Sauter. Richard, I've known him for years, is probably the premier author, investigator on underground bases, underwater bases, actually, clandestine bases of that nature. I published his last book on that subject, which is called Hidden in Plain Sight. That's a very fine book. I've got that listed on my website as well, keyholepublishing.com. You can read about Richard to your heart's content.
Yeah, I've met Richard a couple times, and he's definitely a man of integrity and courage, and he walks his talk. And I know he just recently got arrested for a little while.
He sure as hell did. He's out now.
Oh, great.
For him. Yeah. Richard, back on Income Tax Day, April 15th this year. Good God, scaled the fence at Minot Air Force Base in North Dakota. And with a copy of the United States Constitution, put that on top of a silo, a missile silo there, and then waited for about a half hour for Air Force security police to arrest him, which they did. And he did about 3 months in prison, in jail, in North Dakota. I corresponded with him during that time by old-fashioned snail mail. Couldn't do email.
Yeah.
And I put up a lot of his letters during that time. He's out. He was found guilty and released with time served, and the judge said, "Don't do it again." But Richard, listen, he has no regrets over what he did. For you can think, agree or not agree with how he decided to do it, but his point was to make a major statement about the dangers of American world nuclear weapons, arguing that this is a genocidal weapon, which of course it certainly can be.
Oh yeah.
And he wanted to make a statement about that, and he did.
We just had Bob Solis here about 2 weeks ago.
Did you?
And he came to the ranch, and he had a real eye opener. He got to see some things that he just could not explain, and spent one night, and we had kind of a rainy weather, but then it finally opened up, and he saw some things flying around the mountain there, some huge green lights. We're going to have him on the show here pretty soon, but he's doing a great job out there blowing my feeling is that I think whatever we launch out there is just not going to work, because these other guys are not going to have it. I think they will intervene on that. They're not going to allow us to nuke ourselves because it affects, some of their bases and other people as well. So.
Well, I just, a week ago, I wrote an article on UFOs and nuclear technology. In fact, that's at the websites I just mentioned, afterdisclosure.com. We'll list it there. It was sort of, I did time it to coincide with the event that took place just last week at the National Press Club in D.C. that included Bob Salas and Robert Hastings and other Air Force retired officers. What I pointed out in my piece is simply that, the relationship of the UFO phenomenon to nukes goes right back to the 1940s. Even, look at the Roswell event itself. Roswell, of course, was the only military base in the world that had active nuclear weapons, and that happened to be where something went down that appears to have been exotic technology. And then right on through in the 1940s, over at Los Alamos, over at Oak Ridge, Tennessee, over at the Hanford nuclear site in the state of Washington, all of these places, which were critically important in America's nuclear technology at the time, all of them, we know for a fact, were visited by unknown, unconventional objects that have not been explained to this day, all of which got the attention of upper-level military planners, wondering, what is this? Is this Soviet? Is this something else? That's what the declassified documents tell us. I am sure that there are more highly classified documents that would give us better answers that we haven't read. But the fact is that throughout the whole Cold War and beyond, there has been no shortage of cases dealing with UFOs interacting with nuclear sites. A case that people sometimes forget, I think it's now getting the attention it deserves, the Rendlesham Forest case, sometimes called the Bentwaters case over in the UK in 1980. This concerned American servicemen stationed in Britain. And, of course, as many people listening probably are aware, a series of nights after Christmas 1980 in which servicemen encountered very, very, very strange reality. One of the things that happened is, according to Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt, is that the object was over the base and shone a light, like a beam of light, through the ground, down through the hardened layers of cement and dirt, layer after layer, and which was directed right at the nuclear weapons that were secretly stored there. The British public had no idea there were nukes down there that was not supposed to be down there, but everyone knew that there were nukes there. This object shone a light down there, and in Halt's words, he said to two researchers in the 90s, which was told to me, he said that beam adversely affected the ordnance. Now, you can interpret that how you like. It sounds to me that UFO messed with the nukes under the ground in a way that, how would that have been possible? But it did.
And we've seen some things here, which could be a whole other show. We're out of time, unfortunately. I can't thank you enough for coming on this show.
It was my pleasure.
It's been a great interview, and we'll have to get you back on because I know there's a lot more to this story.
There's always more.
All right. Well, keep up your great work, and you have to come out here and see what's happening out here one of these days.
I plan to.
All right.
You can bet on that.
All right. Well, take care and have a great day.
Thank you, James. You too. Goodbye.
All right. We're signing off. This is James Gillen with World Puja. Have a great day, and watch the skies. They're getting real busy.